All right, in this video, we're going to cover the assembly process in the Dynamics 365 Business Central. So in the assembly process is the main process that you convert raw materials into finished goods. So the first thing you do is you create an assembly order in Business Central, and here you're basically selecting which location you're going to be doing the assembly process in, what item you're going to be producing, and how much of the quantity you plan to produce. And then this is kind of important, which bin does the finished good end up in? So we have a nomenclature where we put all the finished goods either in from assembly 1 or from assembly 2 or from assembly 3 or whatever that is, just to, it's a good practice to make sure that your finished goods go to a very specific bins. And then you select the start date. And once you create the assembly order, then what you want to do is you want to go in and pick up all the raw materials. So you're essentially moving the raw material from whatever bin they are. Maybe they might be in bin 1 or bin 2 or R1 or R2. You're basically picking the items from whatever bin they are into to assembly 1 or to assembly 2. So if the way that we follow at Power Central or any one of our customers is that we designate the finished items from assembly 1, means that there's different assembly lines. And the finished good for the first assembly line is from assembly 1 bin. That's where the finished item goes. And all the raw materials are going to first have to be moved into assembly 1. That's the good practice that we follow here. And we use the item reclassification journal to be able to do that. And once you pick everything and put it into assembly 1, now you basically have to tell the assembly order in each of the assembly order lines. You have to say, yes, I'm using this particular raw material, this lot number, and this quantity. And once you do all of that, you log all the raw material, which lot number you used, how much quantity you used. And then you also select for the finished item, which lot number it's going to have and what the expiration date it's going to be. And then you basically go ahead and post the assembly order. And once you post the assembly order, you go ahead and it creates what is called a posted assembly order. At this point of time, the system will remove the raw material from the inventory, how much ever got consumed, and then it's going to put the finished items into the from assembly 1 bin. And once that is done, you assign the pallets and stuff like that. That's not part of Business Central, but you're essentially moving this stuff away. You're basically moving this away from putting it away from assembly 1 to whatever the designated finished item bin is. And sometimes you might actually have raw materials also that are left out. So you want to put them back as well. You want to remove them from to assembly 1 bin to whatever, bin 1 or bin 2 or wherever they came from. So there you have it, the entire assembly end-to-end process. So what we're going to do now is we're going to show a demonstration how it actually works in Business Central. So here, if you go to our inventory, we know that so we have 1 pound of shell pasta, and we can make 16. And we want to make like the shell pasta 1 ounce packets. So from 1 pound, we know that we can make 16 packets of shell pasta. So let's actually create an assembly order and execute that, see how it goes. And we know that there's already 16 packets of shell pasta that we've generated from a previous assembly run. So let's ignore that. So let's go ahead and actually generate this, assembly order. So the first thing what we do, we go to the home page and we go to click on the assembly orders and create a new assembly order. And here you want to just assign the assembly order number. So you just click on the 3 dots over here and just say OK. It automatically assigns the assembly order number. So I'm going to be creating an assembly order for the shell pasta 1 ounce, right? And we're going to create 16 packets. So when you do this, because we already set up the assembly bill of materials, it automatically looks at the assembly bill of materials, and it's that's where you enter the bill of material, and it knows that you can produce 16 packets with 1 pound, and it pre-fills this information over here just for your convenience, right? So you know that to make 16 packets, you need 1 pound of pasta. All right, so now what you want to do is you want to leave this. The other thing you want to enter is the location and where the finished good is going to end up. All right, so once you do this, you're pretty much done. So then what you want to do now is you want to move this item. And the very important step is to make sure that you're always consuming from one of the 2 assembly bins, right? So again, if this is the production line 1, so the finished good goes to from assembly 1 and everything is getting consumed from to assembly 1. it's a good practice to make sure that you're consuming very consistently from one bin and you're producing it to a very specific bin. So now what you're going to do is you're going to move the raw material from wherever it is. So if you go here, we know that, so let me actually go to another window here, and so if you go to items and then shell pasta, so if you go to the shell pasta over here, we want to see where it is. So I can go to related, warehouse, and bin contents, and you can see that the raw material is in bin 1. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do an item reclassification to move this particular lot number from bin 1 into to assembly 1. So go into the item reclassification journal, enter the item number, shell pasta, and I'm going to move in location 1, I'm going to move it from bin 1, and I'm going to move it to assembly 1. All right, and I'm going to move 1 pound of it, and I go into the item tracking line, item tracking lines, and I select the lot number that's there, and say close, and then I just go ahead and post it. All right, so at this point of time, the 1 pound of, if you go back and check where it is right now, if I go back and rerun this, so if I go back to the item, I go to related, warehouse, bin contents, I know now that the raw material is sitting into assembly 1 bin. All right, so we're done. The machines are probably rolling, and we are done with producing the 16 packets of pasta, right? And you always want to make sure that the quantity per, this is, say sometimes you update, like you might actually make 18 packets of pasta, whatever, you might consume a little bit more, a little bit less, and you probably want to basically adjust this to however you want, how much ever you really consumed. And then the other thing is to make sure that you assign which lot number actually got used for this. So again, you want to make sure that you're always consuming the raw material from to assembly 1, and then go into line, go to item tracking lines, and select the lot number that's actually got used. And we know that this is the lot that we are using, so I'm going to select that, and then go into OK, right? And the system, if you actually did have multiple lot numbers, the system will actually point you to the lot number that's according to FIFO, because that's how you're supposed to consume. All right, so you go in, make sure the quantity and every expiration date, they get pre-filled, so that all looks good. And then now you're pretty much, the last thing you want to do is you also want to make sure that the finished item also has a lot number associated with it. So let's go to navigate, item tracking lines. You can either enter the lot number manually, or you can go to process or assign lot number, so that you want to make sure the lot numbers are unique, and then give it an expiration date, right? So whatever the expiration date is. All right, so we pretty much are done with all the assembly process, entering all the data. We entered the raw material information, the lot numbers, the quantities, the finished items, the quantities, the lot numbers. Now we're ready to post. Let's go ahead and post it. And as soon as you post it, you will see that the inventory gets updated. So if you go back to the item, and if you just refresh this item card, so let's go ahead and refresh this item card. Yeah, you'll actually see that look at this one, the raw material went to 0 and the finished item went to 32. So you can see that the finished item is 32, and if you click on this 32, you will see that this is the lot number that this is the assembly order we just posted, so we see that there's a positive adjustment over here. Okay? So one last step to remember, again, so we went through the whole process of creating the assembly order, we picked the raw material, we posted the assembly order, and the last thing we want to do is we want to just put the items away. Because if you look at where these items are, so if you go into the item card for the finished item, you go to related, and you go to warehouse bin contents, you will see that there's 16 packets that are sitting in this from assembly 1, and that's never a good idea. You want to put them out into bin 2 or whatever designated bin for this finished material is. So let's go ahead and move this lot 0005 from assembly 1 to bin 2. Again, we use the item reclassification journal to do that. So we go here to the item reclassification journal. We go to the shell pasta 1 ounce. again, we're moving it from assembly 1 to bin 2. We're moving 16 packets of it, right? And we're basically going to item tracking lines, and the lot number that we want to move is this lot 5. That's what we want to move. Okay, so once we say okay, post this guy, and at this point of time, if you go ahead and refresh this, right? So if you go back to related, warehouse, bin contents, you can see that the new lot that we generated is now sitting in the final resting place, which is bin 2. All right. So there you have it, the entire assembly process and the assembly put away process as well. In this scenario, we did not do, we did not have any raw material left out. But if some of the raw material was left hanging into assembly 1, you probably want to do another item reconciliation journal to put the raw material away and back to where it actually came from. So there you have it, the entire assembly process in Dynamics 365 Business Central.